In January, as we all know, the Ozarks saw a historic tornado outbreak. This is just some of the damage from one of the tornadoes. And in February, in Gassville, a tornado nearly leveled that town. And this March promises to be the beginning of what could be a very active tornado season. Tornadoes, they're Mother Nature's fiercest storms. And some winds can reach up to 200 miles per hour. They can happen at any time, day or night, and at any time of the year. If a tornado warning is issued, that means tornado development is possible in your area, and you should watch for tornado development. Put on your shoes or have them readily available in case a tornado forms. If a tornado warning is issued, that means a tornado has been detected by radar or has been seen by an individual. This is the most serious type of weather warning. Here's what to do. Turn to KSPR. We provide live coverage of all tornado warnings in our viewing area.
As Josh mentioned, Battlefield 65, that area right there, there are quite a few big subdivisions that probably need to be taking shelter right now.
For your safety, take shelter immediately. If you live in a house with a basement, get underground. If there is no basement, go to the centermost point in the building. A bathroom or closet offer the best protection, and stay away from windows. If you live in a mobile home, advance warning should provide plenty of time to evacuate your home. Move to a sturdy structure until the threat has passed. If you are driving, do not try to outrun a tornado. Seek shelter in a sturdy building. And as a last resort, seek shelter in a ditch. Do not seek shelter under a highway overpass. Follow these tips and you can stay safe in a tornado. Being prepared ahead of time is the key to surviving any disaster. So make sure your family has a plan before severe weather strikes.
This past January and February, a record-breaking number of tornadoes moved through the Ozarks. Natalie Nunn visited one family after the storms to find out why they'll take being prepared a lot more seriously.
May 4th, 2003.
No, I don't even remember that day, to be honest, just that night, you know.
A night that would go down in history books. All afternoon, tornadoes were barreling through the Midwest. By sunset, the twisters rolled into the Ozarks. It was a Sunday evening, and 16-year-old Ricky Lorimore was home alone, working on an English paper.
I wasn't a big fan of life at the time, just because we just moved to Springfield, and I hated it.
The Lorimores had moved from Nebraska just 6 months earlier, and for them, tornadoes were nothing new.
The sirens had been going for probably 20 minutes before the tornado actually hit, so I kind of knew that it was you know. But in Nebraska, Tornado Alley, you know, it's that happened all the time. You never really expect it to hit your house.
As the storm was cranking up, Ricky's mom called to make sure everything was okay. Ricky said the family dog Fudge was a little upset and he'd already put him in the bathroom. And in the middle of that sentence, things took a turn for the worst. Ricky knew he had to take shelter too.
I basically just ran into the bathroom, which is across the room, and I shut the door because I was I was just being safe, you know, and I locked the door, and right when I locked the door, I just heard the windows explode, and glass started flying underneath the door.
It was then the phone line went dead, and Mrs. Lorimore made a frantic call to her husband.
And she says, basically, Rick, I just got the phone with Ricky, so now I'm all ears. And she says, you've got to get to him. He said, Mom, go back to church. The wind's getting really bad. And just as he said that, his phone went dead.
I was just sitting there waiting after the thing. I thought I was going to die. So, that was, I was amazed to be alive.
After the tornado hit, the town of Battlefield was blocked off, so Rick parked a few miles up the road and just got out of his car and started running, jumping over trees and through debris to make it home to his son.
I'm told I started screaming my son's name running down the street trying to get to him. It really looked like a war zone. Battlefield looked like a battle zone because there's trees, there's power lines.
And the Lorimores' neighborhood was ground zero. The house was totaled. One neighbor was killed.
I looked up the stairs into the kitchen because you could do that, and I saw stars, and that kind of freaked me out.
Debris was thrown everywhere, glass stuck in the walls, and a math book hanging from the ceiling.
But hey, I'm glad to see the neighborhood bounce back. That's good.
That's nice. 5 years after the storm, Ricky's outlook on life is much brighter. He feels he has a purpose and that he was spared for a reason.
Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. You know, I hope that if a tornado's never going to hit me again, but if it does, I'll definitely always be ready.
35 tornadoes have already ripped through the state of Missouri just this year, and most of those were right here in the Ozarks. To put that number in perspective, a record 102 tornadoes touched down in Missouri in 2006.
Later on Survive the Storm, see brand new technology the KSPR weather team uses to forecast severe weather and learn what all the data you see on your TV really means. And after the break, if you're trapped in floodwaters, do you stay in your car and wait for help or try and climb to safety? The answer when we come back.
Tornadoes are very fascinating to many people, but there's a lot that we actually don't know about tornadoes. But here's what we do know as far as how they develop. Let's take a look. A lot of it has to do with the winds, very strong winds aloft and winds at the surface blowing. It creates this horizontal column of air that spins right near the surface. But in thunderstorms, we all know that strong updrafts occur, a rapid movement of air up through the thunderstorm clouds. That takes that once horizontal column and makes it vertical. When that happens, we can sometimes get what's called a mesocyclone, and eventually right at the surface, you can see where a tornado will typically form. With the winds changing in direction with height, we get the spinning and that twist in the atmosphere. With a lot of moisture and all of the ingredients in place, this is typically the setup that we see in the Midwest when we have tornadoes.